Hey guys, I'm here to read the next two chapters of Days with Frog and Toad today. So that is chapters 3 and 4 for your e-learning. So chapter 3 is called Shivers. The night was cold and dark. Listen to the wind howling in the trees, said Frog. What a fine time for a ghost story. Toad moved deeper into his chair. Toad, asked Frog, don't you like to be scared? Don't you like to feel the shivers? I am not too sure, said Toad. Frog made a fresh pot of tea. He sat down and began a story. When I was small, said Frog, my mother and father and I went out for a picnic. On the way home, we lost our way. My mother was worried. We must get home, she said. We do not want to meet the old dark frog. Who is that? I asked. A terrible ghost, said my father. He comes out at night and eats little frog children for supper. Toad sipped his tea. Frog, he asked, are you making this up? Maybe yes, and maybe no, said Frog. My mother and father went to search for a path, said Frog. They told me to wait until they came back. I sat under the tree and waited. The woods became dark. I was afraid. Then I saw two huge eyes. It was the old dark frog. He was standing near me. Frog, asked Toad, did this really happen? Maybe it did and maybe it didn't, said Frog. Frog went on with the story. The dark frog pulled and jumped rope out of his pocket. I am not hungry now, said the dark frog. I have eaten too many tasty frog children, but after I jump rope 100 times, I will be hungry again. Then I will eat you. The dark frog tied one end of the rope to the tree. Turn for me, he shouted. I turned the rope for the dark frog. He jumped 20 times. I am beginning to get hungry, said the dark frog. He jumped 50 times. I am getting hungrier, said the dark frog. He jumped 90 times. I am very hungry now, said the dark frog. What happened then? Asked Toad. I had to save my life, said Frog. I ran around and around the tree with the rope. I tied up the old dark frog. He roared and screamed. I ran away fast. I found my mother and father, said Frog. We came home safely. Frog, asked Toad, was that a true story? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, said Frog. Frog and Toad sat close by the fire. They were scared. The teacup shook in their hands. They were having the shivers. It was a good, warm feeling. The hat. On Toad's birthday, Frog gave him a hat. Toad was delighted. Ooh, delighted was one of our vocab words. Happy birthday, said Frog. Toad put on the hat. It fell over his eyes. I am sorry, said Frog. That hat is much too big for you. I will give you something else. No, said Toad. This hat is your present to me. I like it. I will wear it as is. Frog and Toad went for a walk. Toad tripped over a rock. He bumped into a tree. He fell in a hole. Frog, said Toad, I can't see anything. I will not be able to wear your beautiful present. This is a sad birthday for me. Frog and Toad were sad for a while. Then Frog said, Toad, here's what you must do. Tonight when you go to bed, you must think some very big thoughts. Those big thoughts will make your head grow larger. In the morning, your new hat may fit. What a good idea, said Toad. That night, when Toad went to bed, he thought the biggest thoughts that he could think of. Toad thought about giant sunflowers. He thought about tall oak trees. He thought about high mountains covered with snow. Then Toad fell asleep. Frog came into Toad's house. He came in quietly. Frog found the hat and took it to his house. Ooh, I think he's got a trick up his sleeve. Frog poured some water on the hat. He put the hat in a warm place to dry. It began to shrink. The hat grew smaller and smaller. Frog went back to Toad's house. Toad was still fast asleep. Frog put the hat back on the hook where he found it. When Toad woke up in the morning, he put the hat on his head. It was just the right size. Now think, was it the big thoughts or what do you think happened? Toad ran to Frog's house. Frog, Frog, he cried, all those big thoughts have made my head much larger. Now I can wear your present. Frog and Toad went for a walk. Toad did not trip over a rock. He did not bump into a tree. He did not fall in a hole. It turned out to be a very pleasant day after Toad's birthday. All right, the next chapter is called Alone. Mr. Dudek is going to read that to you tomorrow. Keep thinking. There was some tricky things that happened in there. All right. Have a good day, guys.